beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Daily Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. All right, so let's get ready to get into it. Thank you, Nicole, beloved, for your kind words and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. And I'm sure we all miss you too, beloved. Okay, at least I do. Okay, so thank you so much for that and getting us started. Now, with that all being said, hello, Bookhorse DC, G from the Land, Nicole, Claudette, Terry Hinton, Millicent, Just Anticipate, Lillian X. All right, Judah Homecoming, Chili Willie from Philly, Bookhorse DC, Deronda, Hadassah. All right, let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Thank you in advance. All right, the lovely T is here, Trisha. Okay, so without further ado, let's get ready to get into it. I see you, Al B. Chill, Nessa G. Okay, so let's have a brief word from my sponsor, and then we'll get right into it. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so with that all being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Okay, and you can also find it, just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she also sells beard oil. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. I find it interesting because today something very interesting came out or was posted about Princess Diana. Let me just go to it. It was posted and I reposted it on my X account. And I thought this was very interesting because it's literally came out about an hour ago, or at least that's when I saw it. I'm going to share my screen. And I want you all to pay attention because then there was even more information that I literally just found before this live pertaining to the same situation. I know it's crazy, right? Now look at this. Look at this. Now, I, of course, cannot confirm or deny these allegations, but I'm telling you, this is what was posted. Okay, it says breaking. Now, this was posted by Iran Breaking News, okay, on X. Actually, it was posted yesterday because it says March 10th. My mistake, but I just saw it just a few hours ago. Okay, it says breaking. Documents reveal that Israel assassinated Princess Diana to protect an elite PDF file network. Evidence indicates that Israel planned the assassination of Princess Diana in 1997 to protect its elite blackmail network. Now, do you all hear this? Now, of course, as I said, I cannot confirm or deny these very nefarious allegations, but it does cause one to wonder, especially since we see that she was mentioned in the Epstein files. Of course, not accused of anything, but very interesting details to find out that both Trump and Epstein wanted to get with her. Okay, please pay attention. And Princess Diana. And this is what he had to say. I probably have 100 hours of Epstein talking about the inner workings of the Trump White House and about his long-standing deep relationship with Donald Trump. He went on to say that basically the two were pretty much playboys, very much styling themselves as playboys in that Hugh Hefner sense, who palled around for the better part of 15 years. Before making the claim about the late Princess Diana, where he says that at one point, the two pretty much had a competition about just which of them would be the first to actually sleep with Princess Diana. He did, however, say that he doesn't think that that ever actually occurred, but nonetheless, it was a wager that they both engaged in. That there was serious competition between Epstein and Trump, especially as it pertained to women. He said, there was a constant kind of betting about who would get what girl first. He also alleged that the bet between Epstein and Trump about Princess Diana, that all occurred at a time when the two socialized together within the same circles, saying that they were very competitive about women. He alluded to former model Stacey Williams, previously recalling there was a competition between them about her as well, saying there was a moment in which they actually shared a girlfriend, he says. They were both openly, possibly proudly, going out with the same girl at the very same time. Let me just make the point that in a moment in time, there was a particular kind of sexual access or excess and license and cruelty, masculine cruelty, rich guy masculine cruelty that was not just allowed, but actually celebrated. Yeah, they think that Epstein and Trump really were two of its exaggerated exponents. Of course, we see now Epstein as the sexual monster, but certainly, at least in Epstein's telling, he and Trump were pretty much, in his regard, brothers in arms. Now, mind you, these are Michael Wolff's words, not mine. Epstein to say that he and Trump were pretty much brothers in arms means basically, in my opinion, that he was saying Trump was equally as disgusting as he was, and that they both were engaging in the same sorts of behavior. They seem to be very narcissistic, misogynistic, and just downright disrespectful of women in general, acting as though women were nothing more than objects. Okay, please pay attention. Trump's admiration for Princess Diana has been very well documented. In 1997, in an interview with Howard Stern after her death, he basically said that he thought he could have had a relationship with her. And then in a later interview in 2000 with Howard Stern, he asked Trump flat out, would you have slept with her? To which Trump replied, without even hesitation, I tell you what, I think she's magnificent. Lady Di was truly a woman with great beauty. I've seen her a couple of times. She was really beautiful, and people didn't realize how beautiful. She was supermodel beautiful. She had the height, she had the beauty, she had the skin, the whole thing. Well, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think that Princess Diana, who was a very classy, elegant lady, you know, who carried herself with, she was very regal and carried herself with dignity and pride. I really don't think that she would have wanted anything to do with someone as ghastly as Donald J. Trump. Okay, just my thoughts. Please pay attention. Recently released Epstein files revealed that both Trump and Epstein allegedly had their eyes on Princess Diana during the time when her and then Prince Charles were separated. Now, one passage reads, in 1994, just at the moment when Prince Charles is on television acknowledging his love for Camilla Parks Bowles, Jeffrey Epstein is sitting with his arm around Princess Diana at a dinner at the Serpentine Gallery in London. The late princess wore her famous revenge dress that night. Another version of the draft simply described Princess Diana seated beside Jeffrey Epstein without any mention of his arm. Okay, it seems to me that perhaps Mr. Michael Wolff was adding details, embellishing the story just a bit to make it seem more salacious. Okay, that's just my opinion, because I really feel like Princess Diana, whom I think had good discernment, because she always stated that she never trusted Prince Andrew, that there was something off about him, and even supposedly warned her sons about him. So I don't think that she fell for Jeffrey Epstein's BS. I think that Michael Wolff wanted to make this, story juicy, something for the tabloids, which he was in fact accused of, at the time that he was writing all of this. Please pay attention. Let me just note that there was a separate email from 2015 where they showed that someone actually sought Epstein's confirmation about that evening, but there was no response that appeared within the records. Okay, so clearly something that we should take with a grain of salt. And in fact, I'll just go out on a limb and say I don't believe it. Okay, I absolutely do not. Further references to Princess Diana surfaced within an interview between Ghislaine Maxwell and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Maxwell described Epstein's earlier time in London and said that he met many prominent figures. She said he grew friendly with Rose Monckton and Dominic Lawson, who moved within the same social world as Princess Diana. Maxwell suggested that Epstein expected another meeting with the late princess at an event arranged by Monckton. She said, I don't know if he sat with Diana or he met with Diana and he'd already met her. I don't know, but this, I believe, was organized by Rosa. This is what Maxwell added, saying that I don't know if she was being set up as a date for him. Maybe because I don't want to speak bad of Diana, but I'm not going to do that. Now, I want you to think about this woman who's a whole trafficker of children, a madam, if you will, just a despicable person, and her conviction proves that she's absolutely what we say she is. But the fact that she says that she's not going to speak bad of Diana, what could she possibly say that would be truthfully spoken, that would be bad of Princess Diana? I'm sure there's nothing she could say, And she's the last one who needs to speak on Princess Diana. I mean, if you ask me. Also, the newly released files reveal that Epstein actually considered hiring Princess Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, to train his household staff, but Burrell never worked for him. Now, there was supposedly a proposal. A March 2001 document shows that someone, whose name is redacted, of course, recommended Burrell to train staff for Epstein after seeing him speak at a conference, describing him as a class act. But supposedly there was no interaction. Burrell, who was known as Diana's rock, from 1987 to 1997 stated that he was never approached for the role, never spoke to or even met Epstein, and described the mention of his name in the files as sickening to his stomach. And I absolutely can't blame him. Okay, the fact that he was even mentioned or cross-referenced, though he wasn't accused of anything, but to even have your name in the same sentence as Epstein has to be, quite frankly, disturbing for anyone with, an ounce of moral fortitude. Please pay attention. So Princess Diana generally did not have a close or warm relationship with her brother-in-law, Prince Andrew, often finding him to be loud, bossy, and not a doer. While she was close to his wife, Sarah Ferguson, Diana found Andrew's personality to be not for her and maintained a distance, skeptical, and sometimes irritated by his demeanor. Alleged disrespectful competition between Trump and Epstein would also have boosted their own celebrity statuses, which I'm sure that these two narcissists would love to have done. Okay, clout chasing is what we now call it today. But there's no evidence, as I said, of any sort of confirmation of Epstein ever being with Princess Diana. There's no public photographic evidence, no video footage. And also, the timeline is full of inconsistencies. You see, while some claims mention that this possibly occurred in the 1990s, Ghislaine Maxwell suggested the meetings occurred in the early 2000s, which is absolutely impossible because Princess Diana died in 1997. Now, however, what there is some credibility to are the claims that often highlight Epstein's desire to gain access to British royalty, okay, with Prince Andrew often cited as his primary entry point, rather than a formal officially sanctioned role as a walker for Princess Diana. Okay, so please pay attention. We already know how him and Prince Andrew, formerly known as Prince Andrew, but we already know how they got down. Now, in hindsight, it's plain to see why Princess Diana was fond of Michael Jackson, but had disdain for Andrew. All right, so with that all being said, I find it very interesting. In the files, you could see that Jeffrey Epstein clearly had a thing for Princess Diana. And also, when he talked about her wearing a revenge dress, this is the dress that he was talking about. Okay, he was trying to make something out of nothing, basically saying that, he sat there Michael Wolff tells this story about Jeffrey Epstein sitting next to her. He was chosen to be her walker, which is like an escort. Okay, and then basically he would get to sit next to her if there was an empty seat beside her. But that's never been confirmed. And you could see that Epstein really had a thing for Princess Diana because this was on a photo, or this was in a frame in his closet, her in that same dress. Okay. And there were a lot of men after Princess Diana once they learned that her and then Prince Charles had actually separated. Also, Trump was definitely trying to get in with her because he was allegedly sending her roses and different gifts and things like that. Obviously, she paid him no attention. But, some say that you can see now with Melania that he's tried to model Melania by the way that she dresses, the stylist or the style of clothing that she wears. They say that Trump tries to make her into a replica of Princess Diana. What I would just go ahead and say that she falls short. Okay, now I do see the similarities of her trying to dress in the same type of clothing because there's pictures, showing the comparisons. Now, C-STAN said her bloodline is actually more British than those that make up the British monarchy today. Okay, well, thank you for that information, beloved, your insight into the topic and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, before we move on, let's talk about Dodi Fayed, whom she was dating at the time of her death. He also passed away in that tragic accident that I believe was absolutely set up. Okay. Now, his father, Dodi Fayed's father, Mohammed Al-Fayed, presented a claim of murder. He felt there was a murder plot for Diana and his son. And so in February of 2008, it was reported that there was an inquest. Now, Mohammed Al-Fayed told the British Inquest he had a British inquest into the 1997 deaths of his son Dodi and the Princess of Wales, while he believed the two were murdered. So among the facts that Al-Fayed said backed his murder plot theory was a lawyer's note that gathered dust in police files for at least 6 years. Okay, please pay attention. Information was withheld, evidence was, probably thrown away or destroyed. Who knows? But clearly there seems to have been some nefarious cover-up. So the note written by Diana's divorce lawyer, Lord Michon, details a conversation with Diana in 1995 in which she expressed fears that she would be targeted for assassination in a motor vehicle accident. Diana, Dodi, Al-Fayed, and their driver died August the 31st of 1997 in Paris in a car crash. Michonne handed the note over to police when the princess died, but police didn't present the note to the coroner until 2003, when Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, gave a note with a similar allegation to a newspaper. Al-Fayed said the delay confirms his belief that my son and Princess Diana were murdered. He also raised concerns about a wooden box Diana told him she had that contained proof that her life was in fact in danger. She told Al-Fayed to make sure that the contents of this box were made public. The box allegedly contained letters from Prince Philip, the Queen's husband, to Diana, but had gone missing. Al-Fayed has long maintained the death of Diana and his son were the result of a murder plot involving British Secret Service and Prince Philip. Now, in a testimony, Al-Fayed lashed out at Prince Philip, calling him a racist who didn't want Diana to marry an Arab and a Muslim. He also said Prince Philip should go back to Germany, a reference to his German ancestry. When a lawyer for the coroner asked Al-Fayed whether his conspiracy allegations stem from his belief that Prince Philip is not only a racist, but a Yahtzee as well, Al-Fayed responded saying, absolutely. In Al-Fayed's lengthy statement, he also disputed evidence that the driver, Paul, who also died in the crash. He disputed claims that the driver had been drunk and accused him of also being a part of the murder plot. So he says when he was killed, they found 20,000 francs in his pocket because he disappeared 3 hours before the murder, being briefed on what to do. This is what Fayed said. He also said Diana told him on the telephone that she was pregnant and that she and Dodi planned to announce their engagement. Now, see, this is what I have long thought was the reason for her being taken out. I have long thought that because the royal family is racist, and this is my opinion, that they absolutely didn't want what they would deem as embarrassment or humiliation of Princess Diana having left Charles and going on to have a relationship and a life with a Muslim, someone who was an Arab, and also to add insult to injury, to bear a child with this man. And that child would be the brother of royalty, half brother of royalty. So I think that I always felt like that had something to do with it. Now, it goes on to say, the inquest began in October after a 10-year delay due to exhaustive investigations by French and British police. The two forces concluded that the crash was in fact an accident and that the driver was drunk and speeding. Okay, so this man spent years, trying to prove that Princess Diana and his son were both murdered, and I think that they were. I think that they absolutely were murdered. This is Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi's father. And another thing that I find interesting also was the fact that years later, he was accused of the same sorts of nefarious things that we've read about in the Epstein files. Now, I don't know if those things are true or not, but I did find it very interesting that he got accused of those things. And these things supposedly happened like in the 80s or something like that. And But none of this came out until after he was dead. Okay, until after this man passed away, which kind of made me suspicious because it's easy to say things about people once they're not here to defend themselves. So you mean to tell me not one victim came forward while he was alive? Okay, and so I just thought that was very interesting. So with that all being said, let's continue. Now, I saw this video of Princess Diana and Charles, and I thought it was interesting how when they were asked about being in love, the comment that Charles made sounded real crazy to me. And in another interview, Princess Diana, I guess it clearly sounded crazy to her too, because she actually mentioned it during another interview. So with that all being said, I'm going to put an overlay on this and let you all hear exactly what was said. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance.
That she's been brave enough to take me on.
And I suppose in love.
Of course.
Whatever in love means.
Well, it
You can
obviously
put your own
means,
interpretation.
obviously means two very happy people.
Yes.
Well,
Once again,
as you can see.
congratulations. Well, from us, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, when the interviewer asked them about being in love, then Prince Charles, he basically said, whatever being in love means, whatever your interpretation. Don't you find that interesting for him to say? I find that very interesting. Okay. I mean, it seems to me that he was not in love with Princess Diana and likely married her because they thought it would be a good look. And by they, I mean his family. Okay, so now let's go to the next clip because here's some interesting information. Because by the interest, the files being released and her name being mentioned several times has drawn renewed interest in her death that many people have found to be mysterious for years. And like I said, clearly a cover up, in my opinion.
Do you guys remember years ago when Donald Trump openly admitted that he had like this major crush on Princess Diana? Because once you remember that, what's happening now is going to seem like it's going to make sense. Or you're going to see it in a totally different light than how you did without me telling you this. What people aren't noticing is that Melania Trump is being transformed into a Princess Diana lookalike sosia type. And it's not just in fashion, it's also in function. The same prototype, the same optics, and the same same storyline type of thing. So Melania and Trump have been married for 20 years, and she has never had interest in saving children up until now, has never done anything of the sort. God only knows how much money they have. So it's not like, oh, she can do it now because she's the first lady. Like, technically, their house is better than the White House. So you know what I mean? But Melania Trump, not only for years, has presented herself in garments and clothing imitating Princess Diana. She imitates her more than Meghan Markle does. There's nothing wrong with that. Princess Diana, it was such a great humanitarian, pure soul. Just a genuine, nice, loving, caring person.
I'll tell you something else that I find interesting. It definitely reeks of a whole cover up because there are documents about Princess Diana and her death and different things that will not be released until 2082. Now, why is that, do you think? Okay, the documents concerning the death of Princess Diana are sealed until 2082. It's a 6,000-page dossier, which contains the results of the 18-month investigation by French authorities. and it was not finalized until 2007. Now, if there was an investigation conducted and they came to a conclusion, why would they say that it's not going to be released until 2082? Anybody that had anything to do with it, if so, they would be dead. And so would most of the people who remember this story. Okay? I want you all to pay attention. Isn't that absolutely egregious? 2082. Now, here are some of the key reasons they claim for them sealing the documents. They say French law mandates that certain national archives, particularly those containing sensitive private or judicial information, remain sealed for 75 years from their date of completion. Because the file was finalized in 2007, the 75-year rule makes 2082 the earliest release date. So what if they found someone culpable or found out there was, in fact, a plot to have her murdered? Okay, so that person just gets away scot-free because you can't release the information? Sounds like a whole load of BS is all I'm saying. Okay, it sounds like a whole load of BS. I mean, does that make any sense to you all? Because it sure makes none to me at all. Anyway, hold on, beloveds. Hold on just a second. Now, with that all being said, so they go on to say that the dossier contains highly personal information, including detailed witness statements, medical reports, and forensic data regarding the car crash in Paris on August 31st of 1997 that killed Diana, Al-Fayed, and driver Andre Paul. Now, I'm still not getting why all the secrecy, other than a cover-up, or people involved that they didn't want to have punished. So, the contents of the files. Now, the 6,000-page dossier is stored in the Palais de Justice in Paris and reportedly includes sensitive evidence not fully disclosed during the British inquest, such as toxicology reports and photographs from the crash scene. We've seen those on the internet, so I'm still not getting it. Okay, they said the potential for extended sealing. While 2082 is the current date, sources have indicated that French authorities could extend this restriction indefinitely. They say despite these seals, the files have been a source of intense speculation and conspiracy theories, with some critics arguing the secrecy hides a deeper cover-up, particularly regarding the whereabouts of a white Fiat Uno and toxicology results of the driver. So they never put any of this out in the public, okay? And whatever happened to that white Fiat Uno that people were saying that they saw? And another driver was never, brought forward. So I just find it all very interesting. At the end of the day, it's definitely giving cover up. Okay? Definitely. And so with that all being said, let's continue. Now, this is what Duchess Sophie finally revealed. Human nature said we will all be dead and her sons will be dead. Exactly.
These are just a few of the letters that Diana sent through the years that are, Dear Mrs. Robertson, she says, I'm on a cloud at the moment.
For nearly 3 decades, the most dangerous words Diana ever wrote were locked away, hidden in safes, tucked into the drawers of country farmhouses, sealed inside envelopes that the world was never meant to open. And now, the woman who married into the royal family while Diana was still alive, the woman Diana called my double and never fully accepted, has broken her silence. Duchess Sophie has finally spoken. What she has revealed about Diana's letters, warnings, and the chilling words she wrote before she died will make you look at everything differently. This changes the story completely. Sophie and Diana, the frosty truth nobody wanted to admit. To understand what Duchess Sophie has revealed about Princess Diana, we need to face an uncomfortable truth. Sophie and Diana did not get along. This has been documented in detail in the 2025 biography, Sophie, Saving the Royal Family, by best-selling author Sean Smith. He relied on years of research, interviews with palace insiders, and first-hand accounts from people who witnessed their relationship. Smith's findings were reported by GB News, Marie Claire, and Hello Magazine in August and September 2025. They show a relationship filled with tension, imitation, and competition. The conflict started with something quite trivial: hair. When Sophie Rees-Jones began dating Prince Edward in 1993, she wore a short blonde bob similar to Diana's famous hairstyle. Diana, known for her iconic look, noticed immediately and was not pleased. When Sophie approached events, Diana would mutter, "Oh, look, here comes my double," according to Sean Smith's sources. Royal correspondent Judy Wade pointed out that Sophie seemed to be copying Diana's style, not just with her hair, but also with red dresses and similar outfits. Smith stated that Diana was both amused and irritated by this, but insiders say she was mostly just irritated. The tension extended beyond fashion. Royal biographer Andrew Morton, who wrote about Diana, described a particular event in his book, Diana, In Pursuit of Love. At a family dinner, Diana stared so intensely at Sophie that Sophie left the room in tears. A source close to the family said, "No love lost." Sophie, to her credit, never publicly escalated the issue. In the 1990s, when the media was comparing the two women, she responded directly in an interview with the Daily Mail. "I don't deny that we do look alike, but I could never compete with Diana's image. I'm not Diana." These 5 words acknowledge the situation without revealing too much. Sophie understood exactly what the comparison meant. She realized that she had lived in the shadow of a woman whose story was much bigger than the palace could contain.
First of all, they didn't say anything about the letters that she supposedly found. But I will say this, she didn't look like Diana to me. She was trying to look like Princess Diana. She was purposely trying to imitate her. And that is annoying. For anyone that's ever had someone copying you who just isn't original, it's very annoying. Okay? And only people who copy other people enjoy that silly phrase that people love to say, imitation is the best form of flattery. No, it's annoying. Okay? It's annoying. And here's the thing. This woman didn't even go to Princess Diana's funeral. And when she was asked why she didn't go, she said because people wouldn't have been able to take it because they looked so much alike. That's what she said, because they looked so much alike. She thought that would upset the people. She did not look like Princess Diana to me. She was just trying to. Okay, and so with that all being said, let's roll the next clip. Yeah, dangerous, you're right. It is creepy.
We're not being told the whole story. So for decades, we've been told that Princess Diana died in a car accident, but many people aren't buying it. So Princess Diana wasn't just royalty, she was special, she was different. She openly spoke about being for the people, not just the institution. She challenged the power structures all around her, and she did it publicly. But in interviews, including her explosive interview with BBC, Diana made it clear that she felt trapped by the royal system. And conspiracy theorists point to the same thing over and over. Diana was actively distancing herself from the British royal family, and she was gaining massive public support because she wasn't playing by the rules, by their rules. Now, if you fast forward to the recent wave of elite exposing document releases, suddenly people are revisiting Diana's death with fresh eyes, because Diana became a liability. She represented compassion, accountability, and transparency in a system that was built on silence and control. And history always shows us that institutions don't always protect those who challenge them. So here's all the points that don't seem to add up with the whole car crash explanation. So the crash didn't happen on open road. It happened under the tunnel of the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris. It's enclosed, hard to escape, difficult for witnesses, and perfect for controlling light, speed, and confusion. If you wanted to cause an accident on a very high-profile person, a tunnel would be the perfect location. So the official report concluded that the crash was caused by a high-speed and intoxicated driver. But a lot of people question how quickly that blame was assigned, and why any alternative explanations were very quickly dismissed. And in her BBC interview, Diana even pointed out to the fact that she felt she was very highly being monitored.
They see me as a threat of some kind.
One main point in the theory is months before her death, a handwritten note that she had given to her former butler, Paul Burrell. In this letter, she had allegedly warned that there was a plot against her, that she feared an accident could be staged, and specifically mentioned a car accident. There's been multiple investigations that have ruled it an accident, but conspiracy theories have a tendency to stick around when questions remain unanswered.
And in that letter, she absolutely said that she felt that Charles, her husband at the time, was plotting to take her out and was going to do something to the brakes on her vehicle or something like that to make her be involved in a crash, that they were trying to take her out. Okay, so she literally said that, and then for her to die in a car crash, absolutely nefarious. Okay, Nubia, come, you're talking about Michael Wolff, the book, and you're talking about everything you're talking about, beloved. You just got here, I imagine, because we've already covered all of that. I had a whole 10-minute video before I started, okay, talking about all of that. Now, with that all being said, Human Nature says Diana started going to AIDS clinics and hugging AIDS patients, and the royal family lost their minds. Yes, they did. And also, not only was she doing that, but she also touched the hands or the feet of someone who had leprosy. And so I'm quite sure that freaked them out as well. Okay? Please pay attention. I'm sure that freaked them out as well. Okay, especially with them being racist as they all are, except for Prince Harry, in my opinion. Okay, and so let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now let's go to this next clip.
Ask yourself, why are Princess Diana files sealed until 2082? If it was just a car accident, these files will already be public. Princess Diana died in 1997. That's almost 3 decades ago. And yet, key documents tied to her death are sealed into the year 2082. You heard what I just said? Key documents tied to her death are sealed into the year 2082. So now you got to ask yourself, what did she see and what does she know? That's not 10 years. That's not 30 years. That's 85 years of silence. That means most people alive today will never see those files. Now you got to say to yourself, that's not normal. That's not an accident. That's not how transparency works. Governments don't lock files that long unless what's inside them can cause a major problem. And I need you to jump down the rabbit hole. This is for entertainment purposes only. There are claims that
Now I find that all interesting. Now, I find that all very interesting. She absolutely felt like they were not who they said they were. And I do believe that is part of what got her taken out of here. But also, we're going to go back to what was said about BB's people having something to do with it, because there is a very credible source that also said that. Okay. And I have that video clip. So we're going to go to that. Now, before we do, let me let this guy finish. Okay, let me let him finish. I'm going to go back to his video. I actually didn't mean to click off of it.
that Princess Diana believed that the powerful people around her were not what they appeared to be. Allegedly, she came across some information that these people were probably reptiles. And I'm going to say this without saying it. She allegedly feared that certain elites weren't just corrupt. They were inhuman in behavior, cold, predatory. They were fundamentally different, if you understand what I mean. Now, you got to think about this. Diana wasn't some random woman with theories. She was inside the system. She had access. And if she believed something was wrong, like deeply wrong, that belief didn't come from the internet. That belief came from what she saw. And after she died, you saw the inconsistencies of witnesses. You saw destroyed cameras. They gave us sealed evidence and they locked the truth away until 2082. Why is that?
Exactly. Definitely a cover up. Okay, definitely a cover up. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this next clip where they talk about a nickname that she had for the royals. Here we go.
According to Princess Diana's friend, Christine Fitzgerald, Diana's nickname for the Windsors, or the royal family, was the reptiles, or the lizards. And she would say that to Christine in all seriousness and say, they're not human. Diana also nicknamed them the Germans, and even sometimes the Dracula family. Fitzgerald said, Diana used to tell me that the Queen Mother was evil. She actually used that word evil. She hated the Queen Mother, and the Queen Mother hated her. According to Princess Diana's friend, Christine Fitzgerald, Diana's nickname.
I believe the rumors about Queen Elizabeth, I believe they absolutely are true.
Princess Diana's death, controversial, yes, but also a sacrifice to their god.
I was told by Baron Guy de Rothschild beginning of February, when he was in this country and he was there to try and reprogram me again and impregnate me, was that he was in the tunnel. That night he had to be there, because not only was it a ritual death of Diana, this was also about taking her soul. And he was taking the soul of Diana, which no one else there could do. Whoever was present there could not do it. He could do it. And he was in France.
This would mean that the ambulance team and a doctor that arrived within a minute of the crash coming the other way must have been in on this whole deal, or at least the people in charge of the ambulance team. From your experience of the kind of people involved in this Illuminati satanic network, do you think that's possible, that they could set that up?
Yes, I do. It had to happen in the tunnel. It had to happen that way. It had to happen in that year. And this is all, there's all a timeline to all of this. I was impregnated with one of my own fertilized egg that was fertilized by the sperm of Pindar, and he sent Guy de Rothschild to impregnate me in this manner.
Do you think that Diana's two children were Prince Charles's children?
I do not believe that William is, I've heard that he was Charles's son. I've heard about someone else, and I believe that it was neither. I believe that this child of Prince William is the son of Pindar, and she was impregnated and she did not realize that. Diana left the tunnel dead. She didn't leave that tunnel alive. That ritual, she had to die in that tunnel, and they had to take her soul in that tunnel, and they had to take the soul or developing essence of the unborn child. And in the hospital, it follows logically, according to what I know about what they do, that they would have taken the uterus and the fetus from Diana, that would have been taken, and as a ritual that would have been taken, and they would have removed other body parts.
And done what?
Distributed them for high Illuminati members to consume, because this is a ritual sacrifice.
Stanley Kubrick was an insider, and he wanted to expose it. And his last movie was called Eyes Wide Shut. I've seen it. Now, Eyes Wide Shut, he died very, very soon after it was presented to executives at the film company, and was given no fanfare whatsoever when it came out. It just disappeared. The hell out of it as well. Yes, they did. They took 25 minutes out of it, which he refused to do. Now, he filmed a ritual with Tom Cruise in it, in which I only know more recently was a Rothschild mansion. And what he filmed is a mild version of what goes on, because he knew. And you had the colors.
Now, with that all being said, we've heard that story about Eyes Wide Shut. We've seen quite a bit of the comparisons of that to the rituals and the parties and the orgies that they actually engage in. With that all being said, I find it very interesting. A lot of what that woman said, I absolutely believe it. And mind you, that was David Icke. For those of you not familiar with him, they have deemed him a conspiracy theorist, but plenty of things that he said have absolutely come true. And also Arizona Wilder, the woman in the clip prior, that was not her real name. That was a pseudonym. Her real name was Jennifer Green. And she first got notoriety in the 90s due to her interviews with David Icke. Okay, she claimed that she was a survivor of SRA, which I told you about, satanic ritual abuse, as well as MK Ultra mind control. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's continue. C-Stan, thank you for your insight into the topic. Says Arizona Wilder, they killed two. She really exposed some crazy stuff on the Royals. Yes, absolutely, beloved. So thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now let's go to this supposed, is this the leaked audio? Yeah, let me go to this. Okay, here we go.
You remember when Queen Elizabeth died and they broke her wand ceremoniously in the funeral and they laid it on top of her coffin? What many don't know is that there's leaked audio or audio that came out while they were taking her body to there, and there was a mic or something on that caught feedback or caught somebody else speaking, not just the British commentators, and it said her death was irreversible. She's trapped. And I'm going to show you that audio right now. Now, if you noticed, the guy who was speaking, he was going to speak, and then he heard that other person speak, and he stopped. And after that other person realized that they were live on mic, they stopped. And then a few seconds later, he speaks. And nobody really knows what that means. I'm not making this up. You can go find that audio. It's still available out there. It's publicly available. And this is just the opinions of a content creator discussing with other content creators what they might think. I have no idea if this is real or not. But as an opinion, a walking opinion that I'm just throwing out there, there's a lot of rituals and ceremonies that are produced. And when they say her death is irreversible, she's trapped, I'm just throwing an opinion out there that can mean that the body's done and that her spirit, her soul is trapped wherever she is. They're able to transfer consciousness. Transhumanism is huge. It's a big thing that they're trying to, the elites, the people, the 1%er are trying to push forward. An ability to eliminate death so they can transfer their mind and consciousness in either a younger body or something more rejuvenated, a machine, an android, a cyborg, whatever have you. Unfortunately, they got caught on the hot mic saying these things, and people that know, if you know, you know more or less what they're talking about. But again, this is just an opinion for entertainment purposes.
Okay, so now after I saw his video, I took it upon myself to try to find the audio, a better version of the audio, because I couldn't really hear that very well. Could you all hear it? I couldn't really hear it that well. So, but I'm going to play this other audio that's supposedly what he was talking about, and it sounds a lot more clear. And some people say it sounds like the voice of Princess Diana. Okay, but here's the thing. As far as him saying that her soul was trapped, that's interesting, because when we listen to Arizona Wilder and she talks about the fact that Princess Diana had to die in that tunnel, okay, what were they trying to do? Were they trying to capture her soul or something? Like, what was going on with that? I just have questions. Okay, so now let's go to this next audio clip. Like, sub, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Well, you couldn't hear it, beloved, because it was staticky. I don't think it had anything to do with the volume. The volume is up. But like I said, here is a more clear version that I'm sure you'll be able to hear.
The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's
As you can see, well, as you can see here in London, it is a lovely day, and as the hearse heads out into West London, Emily Moore.
The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's
As you can see, well, as you can see here in London, it is a lovely day, and as the hearse heads out into West London, and more.
Death is irreversible.
Now you could hear that really good, right? You could hear that really good. Said the death is irreversible. And the fact that she's trapped. And then that's when it cuts off. It goes into something else. Okay, so what was that all about? The fact that they broke her wand, I mean, that just makes me think that she was likely a witch. I mean, I definitely think she was nefarious. And, I don't think that these people are human either. I think that they are exactly what Princess Diana said that they are. That's just my opinion. Now, let's go to this next clip. I'm going to use an overlay for this.
Background. I didn't want to go into that one again.
What happened next?
I asked my husband if we could put the announcement out before the children came back for school Christmas holidays because they were protected in the school they were at. And he did that. And it came out on December the 9th. I was on an engagement up north. I heard it on the radio. And it was just very, very sad. Really sad. A fairy tale had come to an end. And most importantly, our marriage had taken a turn, different turn.
Did you tell your children that you were going to separate?
Yes, I went down a week beforehand and explained to them what was happening. And they took it as children do, lots of questions, and I hoped I was able to reassure them. But who knows?
What effect do you think the announcement had on them?
I think the announcement had a huge effect on me and Charles, really. And the children were very much out of it in the sense that they were tucked away at school.
Once the separation had occurred, we move into 1993. What happened during that period?
People's agendas changed overnight. I was now separated, wife to Prince of Wales. I was a problem. I was a liability, seen as. And how are we going to deal with her? This hasn't happened before.
Who was asking those questions?
People around me, people in this environment, and...
The royal household?
People in my environment, yes, yeah.
And they began to see you as a problem?
Yes, very much so. Mm-hmm.
How did that show itself?
By visits abroad being blocked, by things that had come naturally my way being stopped, letters going, got lost, and various things.
So despite the fact that your interest was always to continue with your duties, you found that your duties were being held from you?
Yes. Everything changed after we separated.
So she talked about how life became very difficult for her once she and Charles separated. And I'm sure it did, because they were angry. And here's the thing. I do believe that Charles was hating on her to a degree because she became more famous than he was, more popular than he was. And because she was doing so much humanitarian work, she was getting a lot of fanfare about that as well. And her charitable work was far outshining anything that he was doing. And I really think that he was just hating. That's what I really think. Okay, but let's go to this next clip. And the reason I'm covering these with an overlay each time is because I'm not sure where these interview clips came from. I do know that she did lots of interviews with 60 Minutes. And, YouTube is real strict about 60 Minutes posting their stuff. They'll absolutely block the video. So that's why I'm putting these overlays.
And I'm a great believer that you should always confuse the enemy.
Who was the enemy?
Now, really listen to this, because she said in this interview that she's a great believer in the fact that you should always confuse the enemy. And the interviewer asked her who was the enemy.
And I'm a great believer that you should always confuse the enemy.
Who was the enemy?
Well, the enemy was my husband's department, because I am a very strong person, and I know that causes complications in the system that I live in. I was a problem, I was a liability, seen as, and how are we going to deal with her? This hasn't happened before.
Who was asking those questions?
People around me, people in this environment, and
The royal household?
people in my environment, yes, yeah.
And they began to see you as a problem?
Yes, very much so.
How did that show itself?
By visits abroad being blocked, by things that had come naturally my way being stopped, letters going, got lost, and various things.
So despite the fact that your interest was always to continue with your duties, you found that your duties were being held from you?
Yes. Everything changed after we separated.
Now, in that same interview, he asked her as well about being queen. And she felt that they absolutely didn't want her to ever become queen. I'm going to go to that clip.
No, I don't. No. No, I don't. No.
Why do you think that?
I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts, in people's hearts. But I don't see myself being queen of this country. I don't think many people would want me to be queen. Actually, when I say many people, I mean the establishment that I'm married into, because they've decided that I'm a non-starter.
Why do you think they've decided that?
Because I do things differently. Because I don't go by a rule book. Because I lead from the heart, not the head. And albeit that's got me into trouble in my work, I understand that. But someone's got to go out there and love people and show it. No, I don't. No.
Now, with that all being said, I'm going to go to this video here. Well, no, actually, I'm going to go to this last video. This is Princess Diana's last video. It says, in her eyes, you can see that she already knew it. Now, she does have a suspicious look, like maybe she knows something, okay, by the look on her face. This is supposedly the last video that she was filmed in, other than the CCTV footage where she's in the elevator with Al-Fayed, where they're leaving the Ritz Hotel where they were staying at, right before she turned up deceased. Or they both turned up deceased, shall I say. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to mute the sound because there's music in the background. But I want you all to just see the look on her face. So I'm not going to cover it. That's a very serious look of concern, in my opinion. Now, when you hear this last clip, what I showed you all at the beginning of the broadcast, let me just go back to it for those of you who came in late and missed it. Okay, give me just a second. Okay, so let me just go back to this. This right here. This right here is very interesting. Okay, this is very interesting when you hear what this next person is going to say. Okay, This, and let me read this to you again for those of you who missed it. It says documents reveal that Israel assassinated Princess Diana to protect an elite PDF file network. Evidence indicates that they planned the assassination of Princess Diana in 1997 to protect its elite blackmail network. Now, I will say this. I absolutely believe that Epstein was trying to get close to not only Princess Diana, but to the royal family in general so that he could get them involved in this blackmail thing that he was doing. And clearly, it worked because Prince Andrew was definitely hanging out with him. Princess Diana didn't give him the time of day, but I want you all to pay attention. Now, let's go to this last clip. And this woman speaking, her name is Annie Machon, or Machon, Machon. She's a former British intelligence officer. So I do believe that whatever she says is credible. Okay, she's a former British intelligence officer. And here is what she said. Please pay attention. Now I'm going to put an overlay on this as well.
Say my personal opinion, I think yes, they did intend to at least seriously injure or kill her. And it's not just about the fact that was she pregnant, wasn't she, we'll never know because they embalmed her against all French law so quickly. And all the other speculative things you see in the press. It's also the fact that it was reported that she was being a great success in the landmine campaign that she was running. Yes. But also she was about to go into campaigning on the behalf of the Palestinians. Now, you can imagine someone of Princess Diana's profile doing that. They would not have tolerated it. They could not have dealt with that. So I think that's why she was taken out. And
I'm sorry, did you all hear that? Please tell me you all heard that. She said that Princess Diana was about to go and start campaigning for the Palestinians, and they couldn't have that. And so she believes that's why she was taken out. Now, who is the they that she's speaking of? Well, I'll tell you what it says on this caption. It says, Annie Machon, former British intelligence officer, says Diana was a threat to those people, BB's people's lobby. Okay? She claims to have evidence. Pay attention. Machon claims to have evidence of those people's involvement in the death of Diana and her lover, who was also killed in the crash. Egyptian billionaire Dodi Fayed. Y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? Now, I find that absolutely nefarious. Okay? I find that all very interesting. Now, I can't confirm it at all, but I will say it's interesting. There's a clip, I'm not sure what this is all about. It says King Charles ordered a red dragon to be added to the wedding cake. Let's go to this clip and see what this is all about.
But I was apprehensive of meeting her. But that's what she said to me. I was apprehensive of meeting you, and it's been a pleasure. But she said to me, all she wanted was a wedding cake. She didn't want a monument. But when Diana had sent the plan, everything was fine. She was happy about that. Great, no problem. And then we got a phone call. Prince Charles wasn't happy. Anyhow, what it was is that they used to name him the Red Dragon. They used to name him the Red Dragon. They used to name him the Red Dragon.
Naval Lieutenant Prince Charles is taking to the air again, this time in a helicopter. As Prince of Wales, he wears the Red Dragon of Wales, and the 12 members of the training unit will wear scarlet and gold arm flashes depicting the dragon, until the Prince completes the course.
So I had to put the crest of the Red Dragon on the front of the cake, and that was the only change. from everything that I.
This illustrates the Luciferian nature of the religion of not only the Knights Templars, but also the royal family. And on the 20th of June, 1969, the same day of Prince Charles by Queen Elizabeth, and notice all the dragons that they have there in Wales.
Bore with great fortitude the emotion that the coming moments brought. A modern prince in a medieval castle kneeling before the Queen, who was fulfilling a promise and giving Wales a worthy prince for its own, in a manner set down centuries ago. As the Secretary of State for Wales read the text of the letters patent in Welsh, Her Majesty invested the prince with the sword, the coronet,
and appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains and the agony of giving birth. And another
Hold on. I did not mean to click off of that. Let me go back to it because this was all interesting. Hold on. He's talking about this red dragon. My mistake, beloveds. Hold on. I'm going to roll it back too.
sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains and the agony of giving birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. His tail swept down 1/3 of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour it. She gave birth to a male child, one who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, in which she is to be nourished for 1260 days. Satan thrown down to earth. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who was called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come, for the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God. And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, for they love not their lives even unto death. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath, because he knows that his time is short. And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown down to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was given the 2 wings of the great eagle, so that she might fly from the serpent into the wilderness, to the place where she is to be nourished for a time and times and half a time. The serpent poured water like a river out of his mouth after the woman to sweep her away with a flood. But the earth came to the help of the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed the river that the dragon had poured from its mouth. Then the dragon became furious with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her offspring, on those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Jesus. And he
Okay, what do y'all think about that? I find it all interesting, especially seeing as how they have treated Prince Harry, okay, after Princess Diana's death. I find that all very interesting. Okay, and also the red dragon in the Bible represents the devil, Satan himself, the ultimate adversary of God and his people, symbolizing powerful, murderous and deceptive force, okay, that operates through violent earthly empires. Violent earthly empires. Okay, the royals have a whole empire. Please pay attention. All right. And so they talk about the 7 heads, which represent authority, the 10 horns, which represent power, and the tail that swept away 1/3 of the stars, the fallen angels. Okay. That is basically explicitly in Revelation 12:9, it identifies the dragon as the ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. So I find that all interesting. And also there was someone, and I can't remember who, I don't remember what I did with that video, but there was a video of someone claiming that Princess Diana also said that she saw them turn into, or shapeshift basically, turn into serpents. Okay. So I find that all very interesting. All very interesting. I'm going to go to this clip of Joe Rogan talking about this, and then we're going to be out of here. Nicole said sounds like Trump. Okay. Let me put my overlay on here.
Gary, have you ever heard of the Princess Diana theory? So, Princess Diana, right? She's the wife of the King of England right now, right? Literally, what's his name? King Charles. Literally the king right now. So before, when she was still a princess and Prince Charles was still a prince, there was claims that Princess Diana used to cheat on him with many men that lead to them getting divorced, right? And after the divorce, she started dating this guy. I think his last name is Fayed, right? Her and Fayed died in a car accident literally 5 minutes away from the hotel room that they were staying in, right? Now, this is what's crazy. Princess Diana, she wrote a note before she died, and it was supposed to go through her trusted butler. And in the note, it said, my husband, aka Prince Charles at the time, is trying to kill me, and he is planning a malfunction in my car with the brake system, so I will get in an accident. So she wrote that letter before she died, right? And the theory goes they were going down this road, and they blamed it on the paparazzi first. This is scary. Have you ever heard of the Princess Diana theory? So, Princess Diana, right? She's the
Okay, so I find that interesting. Now, here's the thing, too. You know, there was definitely something nefarious going on with her death, her and Dodi Fayed, because not only did she and him turn up dead, but also there was a story about Princess Diana and her bodyguard. Let me see if this is it. Barry Manicky, that was his name. I'm going to go to the video. She said this in an interview that she really was very fond of this man. Now, by this time, her and Charles were not getting along, and Charles was after Camilla, supposedly. But I'm going to put an overlay on this.
Princess Diana and Barry Manicky, a royal secret? In 1985, just 4 years after her fairy tale wedding, Princess Diana's marriage to Prince Charles was crumbling. At 24, with 2 young sons, William and Harry, Diana faced the painful truth. Charles was in love with Camilla. Emotionally isolated, she turned to her bodyguard, Barry Manicky, for support. Described as her protector and confidant, their close bond sparked rumors of a deeper connection. Mysteriously, Manicky was dismissed in 1986 and died a year later in a motorcycle accident. Diana later admitted, "I looked for him everywhere," hinting at their profound relationship. Was Manicky just a friend or something more? This chapter of Diana's life reveals the loneliness behind the royal facade. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and
Now, she talked about how Charles came and told her that the bodyguard had died. Hold on just a second. Hold on, beloveds. Try to make sure this is the right clip. I think this is it right here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Princess Diana has long been a subject of public intrigue, but even more people are familiarizing themselves with her controversial life thanks to Netflix's The Crown. The hit series was first released in 2016 and has visually represented each stage of Queen Elizabeth II's reign to date, with Season 4 focusing on Princess Diana's.
Okay, that's definitely not what I was looking for. That's definitely not what I was looking for. Okay, so anyway, the bottom line is that I feel like they had the bodyguard killed as well. Because I thought that was just too much of a coincidence, okay, that she basically had a crush on this man or whatever. She was fond of him, and then all of a sudden he dies, and then Charles comes to tell her about it in a not so nice way. Okay, she really didn't, she said that was cruel of him. Hold on, beloveds.
An encounter that had a tragic ending.
I think one of the biggest crutches in my life, which I didn't find success, was when I was 20, or 25, I felt deeply noticing and we were Trinity Yard. And he was the greatest fellow I've ever had.
Diana didn't tell Settlin the man's name, but she was talking about her bodyguard, Barry Manicky. In 1985, 7 years before she sat down with Peter Settlin, her 4-year marriage to Prince Charles had all but broken down. She suspected her husband was secretly seeing Camilla Parker Bowles, and Diana, then 24, had begun to show interest in the 38-year-old Manicky.
I was walking around her to see him. Just, what happened. I stayed was in happy, but he was around. Yeah, she was
She said that she was very close to him because she always was happy when he was around.
Settlin asked Diana whether she thought of the bodyguard as a kind of father figure.
Yeah, I was very sure. I was like, go and function person. Desperate for the guys. Desperate.
Diana confided to Settlin that as she became closer to Manicky, she even half joked about running away with him.
I was quite scared myself for I always said it's moment at the time, but something I always just to go off and it was so funny for me. Oh my God. And he kept saying he thought it was a good idea too. And he was exhausted by that and he was shut up.
It wasn't clear to Diana what her husband knew about her relationship with her bodyguard. But after Manicky was moved from protecting Diana and dismissed from royal service a few months later, Diana got the shock of her life. While she was riding in a limousine with Charles on the way to a premiere at the 1987 Cannes Film Festival, he turned to her to tell her about an incident the previous night involving Barry Manicky. Charles was casual, but to Diana, the news was an unbelievable bombshell.
And Charles said he was counting fires, and that was the biggest threat.
Diana said revealing the news in such a casual way on such a formal occasion was a particularly cruel and callous move by her husband.
Just pushing you, and there never any proof. And he just jumped on me like that. And I wasn't able to do anything.
Crushed as she was, Diana still had to put on her happy royal face for the cameras at Cannes.
I just sat there all day going through this huge high-profile visit to Cannes. Thousands of press. Just devastated. Just devastated. You know, I wasn't supposed to line as up as I did, if you know what I mean. But then I ended up calm. You know,
that was real low down of him. Okay, that was so low down. So he tells her that this man's dead. Now, mind you, he's known since the day before. But he tells her as they're in the limo pulling up to the Cannes Film Festival, where she's got to greet thousands of people and put on a happy face and all of that. That's just low down. At the end of the day, he was dealing with Camilla the whole time anyway, okay, from the sounds of it all. Okay, so with that all being said, yes, Nessa G, he absolutely was evil. Reggie said disgusting. And yes, she was so young. She was only 20 years old when she got with Charles. Absolutely nefarious. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. But what I'll tell you what, the most interesting thing I got out of all of this research was what I found out today. Okay, with them trying to say that BB's people had something to do with it. And again, I can't confirm or deny those allegations. I'm just telling you that I thought that was very interesting, especially compiled with the fact that a whole former intelligence agent felt like that was the case. Okay, said they couldn't have that, and she thinks that's why she was taken out. Very interesting. Okay, very interesting. With that all being said, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this night. I will see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call. We got to talk about the rest of what's going on with this war. Okay, so until then, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Hit him with that flavor. All in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they